Welcome to Bloomberg Law. I'm Lee Pacchia. As prosecutors consider dropping the case against Dominique Strauss-Kahn here in New York City, a new rape complaint has been filed against him, this time in France. Joining me now to discuss how litigation against Strauss-Kahn might proceed in two separate countries at the same time, we have Jacques Semmelman. He is a partner in the litigation group at law firm Mallet-Prevost, Colt Mosle, based here in New York. Welcome. What does extradition normally look like? What is the legal process that parties need to go through?
Extradition is a process that's governed by treaty in most instances. And in the case of France, there's a treaty between the United States and France governing extradition. And ordinarily, if France wants to extradite somebody from the United States, they would submit a request for provisional arrest of the individual. That person would be arrested and most likely would be detained in jail. They would apply for bail, but there's a presumption against bail, which can only be overcome by a showing of special circumstances, and that can be difficult. So ordinarily, bail would be denied absent special circumstances, which may or may not be present in this case. And then that would be followed by a formal request for extradition, which the government of France would submit. There would then be an extradition hearing. Certain elements would have to be met by the requesting government, and then if the elements were met, the U.S. extradition magistrate would certify the person for extradition. The ultimate decision, though, would be made by the Secretary of State. If the court has certified the person for extradition, and if the process of challenging that through habeas corpus and appeal has been exhausted, the ultimate decision whether or not to extradite rests with the Secretary of State.
In most situations, what is the legal strategy to fight an extradition request?
Well, one of the elements that the requesting government has to meet is probable cause. And probable cause basically means a reasonable basis for concluding that the person may have committed the crime charged. That's going to depend on the evidence that's presented, and on whether the evidence is simply the word of the accuser or whether there's some corroborative evidence. Courts look at the totality of the circumstances presented to them in deciding whether or not there is probable cause. But that would seem to be a likely battleground in this case if there were to be an extradition request.
So how do you see this all playing out? Is it likely that we're going to see an extradition request for bringing Dominique Strauss-Kahn back to France to face charges?
Well, probably not, because Strauss-Kahn is such an important and prominent figure that I find it hard to believe that he's going to refuse to go back to France. I would assume that he's eager to go back to France for any number of reasons, but one of which would be to go back there, face those charges, try to clear his name if he can, and defend himself, rather than staying in the United States, appearing to be a fugitive from French justice, and fighting the charges from here through the extradition process. I find that very unlikely. I assume that somebody of his prominence and stature is going to want to go back to France, and therefore it's very unlikely that the extradition process will ever even have to be triggered.
All right, we'll have to see how it plays out. Jacques, thank you.
Thank you.
That's Jacques Semmelman. He is a partner at the law firm Mallet-Prevost, Colt Mosle, based here in New York. If you'd like to learn more about the case or issue we just discussed, go check out our offerings on BloombergLaw.com and also on the Bloomberg Terminal. I'm Lee Pacchia. Thanks for watching.